to remind you just for a minute, Democrats, so you can remember what we're up against. I, with your help, didn't just beat a Republican. I beat a Republican who outspent me $3 to 1. I beat a Republican who had every endorsement in the Republican Party. I beat a Republican who had outside money from Howard Rich and others supporting vouchers. And I beat a Republican that was such an insider that she is now the chair of the South Carolina Republican Party. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can beat a Republican like that, we can beat any Republican in November. We cannot stand another 4 years that look like the last 7.5. In every sense of the word, we have lost a decade in South Carolina. We cannot enter the second decade of the 21st century doing what we've done in the most recent decade. So I'm asking you to take a look at me as a candidate for governor in South Carolina. I've proven I can win as a Democrat in a statewide office. I pledge to you, if you give me your vote in June, I'll do that again in November. I pledge to you that we'll make education a priority again. I pledge to you that we'll look for jobs for every South Carolinian, livable wages in every county in our state. We'll become a leader in the new technologies and the green technologies of the 21st century. And you know, last but not least, let me just pledge to you a couple of things. One, under no circumstances, under a Rex governorship, will we ever drill for a drop of oil off the coast of South Carolina.
If we're going to win this election, ladies and gentlemen, we got to be committed. And what does that mean? First, we got to tell South Carolina what's wrong in this state, and then we got to tell them, explain to them, show them the path forward, the path back to the greatness that we know is South Carolina. I want you to think about what's happened over the last decade, because it's important we remind people. We've gone from being one of the lowest unemployment rate states in the nation back in the late 90s to one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation. We've gone from having tuition that our kids could afford to go to public colleges and universities to having triple and double college tuition at almost every one of our public colleges and universities. We have seen young people leave South Carolina in increasing numbers and go to places like North Carolina and Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, that has happened under the administration of Mark Sanford and the administration of Andre Bauer and the administration of the rest of the crowd that's been running this state, and 2010 is when we change it. I've had enough of treasurers going to jail for drug use. I've had enough of agricultural secretaries getting indicted for bribery. I've had enough of lieutenant governors who embarrass us and can't take up for the least among us. I've had enough of governors who have abandoned this state instead of doing their job and their duty, and we're going to change that. It's written in the book of Proverbs, and I've traveled all across this state, and I say it everywhere I go. It's written in the book of Proverbs that without a vision, the people perish. And we have not had a vision in South Carolina for far too long. My vision, I hope your vision, is of an energetic governor who will travel the nation to recruit business into South Carolina, who believes in small business so much that he wants to create a division of small business and entrepreneurship within our Department of Commerce, because small business grows the economy of this state. My vision is of a governor who cares enough about public schools that his own kids are in public schools, because we need that again, ladies and gentlemen. Amy and I have 3 wonderful sons, twins, who are going into high school next year. They grow up quick. And a young growing 9-year-old Anthony. They're playing baseball and they're playing soccer tonight, but they wish they would be here with you because they care about the future of South Carolina, and I care about them, and that's why I'm running for governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled South Carolina for a year and a half. We have competed against the Republicans from day one. If we're going to win this election, we need energy, we need enthusiasm, we need commitment, and I pledge to you that we'll do it. I pledge to you that we'll do it. And in 2010, we will elect a Democrat governor of South Carolina. In 2010, we'll turn the ship around. In 2010, we're going to make South Carolina move forward again. Thank you so much for having us. Get out and work. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's exciting to have those kind of candidates for governor for the Democrat. Know the truth of the great Harry Truman when he said, if you want to live like a Republican, you'd better vote like a Democrat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you send me to Washington on November the 2nd, I promise you 2 things. You won't need to cringe when you open the paper in the morning, and you won't need to mumble when your out-of-town friends ask where you're from. I will make you proud, and I will serve you well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to express myself to you tonight. Let's talk reality for a minute. I don't care what candidate is up here talking to you this evening. None of us can do it without your help. You have got to get out and knock on doors. You've got to make phone calls. You've got to donate money. And if you don't do that, the status quo will continue. We need you a lot more than you need us. Please help us take back South Carolina. As a group, we can do it. Thank you very much.
My name is Frank Holloman. I'm running to be your state superintendent of education, and I want to give you 3 key reasons why I'm running. The first is experience, and serious experience that can both win and do the job well. Dick Riley, our former governor, I think everyone recognizes as South Carolina's education statesman. When he was our U.S. Secretary of Education, he picked me to be first his Chief of Staff, and then to be your United States Deputy Secretary of Education. In other words, being his number 2 person in his department in the country, working on the issues of public education. Jim Hodges, you may remember when he was our governor, one of his number 1 priorities was early childhood education. He started an initiative called First Steps, which is in every county in South Carolina, including Horry and all 45 other counties. When we started that effort up, he selected me to be his top appointee, and working with him on the board, I helped lead the effort to create early childhood programs in every county in South Carolina. And third, our former superintendent, Inez Tenenbaum. I've worked closely with her over the years, and just this past week she publicly endorsed me for this position. I ask that you look at my background further in terms of what I've done locally, all the way from the PTA to the national department, and look at qualifications. I think I have the qualifications both to do the job, help the state, and win the election. Second point, issues. I want to be the superintendent of public education. Now, why in the world do I say this? Well, we have had numerous joint appearances with the candidates of all parties. And I would tell you that virtually every candidate who might be elected of the other parties supports vouchers or tax credits or both. The 2 leading candidates for the other party, one of them in addition to that has said she supports the abolition of the U.S. Department of Education, which is not a very smart way to seek federal funds for South Carolina. And the other leading candidate, he has said when he announced, and still repeats, Fred, every time we gather, that the schools have enough money. This in a time when we're cutting teachers' positions. I want you to know that I am, frequently when we gather, I'm in fact the only candidate on the podium who's ever attended a public school in South Carolina. My wife and I are both graduates of the Oconee County Public Schools, and all 3 of our children, 2 of our children are graduates, and 1 next month will be. We have over 50 years of experience in the public schools of South Carolina.
My name is Tom Thompson, and folks, let me apologize for the rolled up shirt sleeves and the tie that's loose, because I've been working 6 months to be your next state superintendent of education. And I intend to work for the next month to make sure that I get there. As your next state superintendent, let me promise you a few things. And if you agree with me, let me hear from you. Our children in this state need to be able to attend safe schools. You agree with that? We have an issue with bullying